Welcome to the channel. This video is the ultimate player's guide to Seer in Apex Legends. If you want to learn beginner and advanced tips to help you to dominate with this top tier recon legend, then look no further. My channel is one of the top Apex Legends character guide channels that you're going to find out there. Also, if you're interested in learning any other legends or even countering other characters, then make sure to check out my ultimate guide playlist for other legends on the roster. Anyway, let's get right into the video. First and foremost, we will start with the basics of Seer and cover his kit and utility. I won't spend too long on this section, so if you want to hop straight into the tips, I will include timestamps as well. Now, Seer is a recon legend that was introduced into the Apex games in Season 10, and he has a unique playstyle with his abilities. Although he is a recon legend, he has a very unique playstyle that is very different from other surveillance legends such as Bloodhound and Crypto. Believe it or not, most players are actually using Seer incorrectly, but this video is going to teach you the most effective way to play him and how to master this legend. His passive is called Heartseeker and is a heartbeat sensor that is one of the best passive abilities in all of Apex. With his heartbeat sensor, Seer can hear and detect the heartbeats of enemies within 75 meters when aiming down sights or when aiming down his tactical. Just for reference, 75 meters is about the distance of a Wraith portal, and you can also ping 75 meters to get more familiar with the distance of both your passive ability and your tactical ability distance. Now, when using Seer's heartbeat sensor, a circle will be displayed around the crosshair while aiming down your sights. The color of the circle will differ depending on the distance and direction of an enemy within a 55-degree cone. Holding the tactical button will also display the heartbeat sensor. Now, when an enemy is within 75 meters, an orange arrow will be displayed around the circle, indicating their direction. When an enemy is within the area bounded by the circle, the whole reticle will turn orange or a different color. Now, at full health, the hearts will beat every 1.75 seconds, but the lower the health, the faster the heartbeat. So it will be a little bit easier to track enemies that are low on HP, and the audio cues pick up the closest enemy within range. Now, keep in mind that shield health is irrelevant to the heartbeat, meaning when someone is low on health, you can hear and detect them a bit easier, but not low on shields. Seer's tactical ability is called Focus of Attention, where he sends micro drones that travel through objects to interrupt and reveal the status and location of enemies. The cooldown for Focus of Attention is 30 seconds. When utilizing his tactical, the drones travel in a cylinder type pattern and it takes 1.6 seconds to detonate, meaning your enemies have time to dodge the scan. Just like the passive range, the tactical is 75 meters long, meaning this thing has some reach, and the width of the scan is also 8 meters. Now, I know I discussed how powerful Seer's passive is, but his tactical is just as impactful, and all of his abilities really work hand in hand. Seer's tactical ability interrupts many actions and even abilities. You have an enemy trying to take a battery, Seer can prevent that. Maybe an enemy is trying to revive, Seer can stop that. Seer can even disrupt a Valkyrie trying to launch with her ultimate in the air, so the best Seer players really know how to utilize this ability, even similarly to how Rev can silence and stop some abilities. When someone is scanned by this tactical, it applies a 1.25 second silence, preventing that legend from using abilities and canceling those already in progress. In addition, effective enemies and their health bars are revealed to the squad for 8 seconds. Now, you can also hold the tactical button and it will slow the player's movement by 15%, but this also activates Seer's ability to use his passive Heartseeker even without a weapon. Lastly, we have Seer's ultimate ability Exhibit. Seer generates a giant orb of micro drones that reveal the location of enemies moving or firing their weapons within this sphere. The charge time is 2 minutes, the ability lasts 30 seconds, the sphere has 135 HP, it has a diameter of 65 meters, and airborne players or players who are crouched or not sliding will not be revealed, and the number of enemies detected is shown on the player's and squad mate's HUD. Now, after discussing those details, we are now going to get into specific tips and break down how to master Seer in your games. First off, the role of Seer in the team is critical for success. Seer should be up front playing the scout role. Whenever you're passing through a location, entering a building, or heck, even checking your back, Seer needs to utilize that heartbeat sensor to determine whether an area is safe or not. And this is truly why Seer is an absolutely amazing legend, and it's because he doesn't have to expend a tactical or wait on any cooldown to be able to pick up heartbeats and to find locations of enemies. In addition to this, when a bloodhound or crypto finds your location, you have an alert on your HUD that you've been detected. If a Seer finds you, there is no way that you know that Seer is picking you up on that heartbeat sensor. So that's just one massive tip with playing Seer, and that is playing in the front scout role to help lead your team with rotations and movement throughout the map. Always clear buildings and locations with his sensor, and when you're in fights that you're taking and maybe they're taking too long, if you have time, you should always even try to scan behind yourself, maybe before healing, to see if a third party is on the way. But if there is one tip that I want you to take away from this video and this guide, it's the general playstyle of Seer. Recon legends such as Bloodhound and Crypto typically start the fight with a tactical scan. They utilize their tactical ability to find enemies. Seer plays very different. A very ineffective Seer will immediately try and throw his tactical at enemies. However, in order to maximize the effectiveness of Seer, you need to first utilize your passive to find enemy locations and relay them to your teammates. Once you recognize significant damage has been sustained to the enemy team and they are stationary when they're trying to maybe take a battery or revive, then you want to utilize your tactical ability to scan them for 8 seconds. This is going to counter or prevent them from healing or reviving, so you will be able to be aggressive and get that clean wipe. Be selective with your tactical, hold it for the perfect time, otherwise enemies are going to be able to easily dodge it and you'll be on a 30-second cooldown. Moving on, never underestimate the power of knowledge. Seer can detect aggression or pushes from the enemy to determine if he has enough time to get off maybe a medkit or a shield battery. In this clip, we can see the best Seer in the game, his Watson, abusing this info to determine that he does have enough time to take that medkit. Now moving on, when you're utilizing Seer's passive ability or heartbeat sensor, he receives a 15% slow reduction. So the key with this ability is to run, slide, and jump to utilize the sensor while you're gaining momentum so you can continue moving quickly while scanning areas. Some other notable tips with Seer's passive is the heartbeat sensor allows you to detect enemies above, below, and in front of you. So heck, you can even spin in 360 degrees to quickly detect movement and enemies in your vicinity. When rotating throughout the map, constantly slide and jump to gain momentum and sweep the area with the heartbeat sensor to keep constant surveillance. If you have difficulty with firing while Seer's passive is active, you can toggle Seer's Heart Seeker effect on and off to avoid visual clutter while fighting. However, I don't recommend this because that's what makes Seer useful when fighting, to utilize this ability to find player movement and rotations. Now let's move on into Seer's tactical tips. Focus of attention is easy to waste if you fire it off widely. Use it in conjunction with your passive for the best results. Health bars also reveal the Evo shield color of all effective enemies, which is useful for gauging their relative strength to your team. Remember, there is a 1.6 seconds delay between the tunnel being made and the effect being released, which gives enemies that much time to dodge out of the way. Remember, the best possible use of Seer's tactical is to interrupt a revive or a Phoenix kit or battery, which means it's best to use when you're already on the offensive after cracking or downing an enemy who is now behind cover. Finally, let's get into some specific ultimate ability tips. Enemies can shoot and destroy Seer's heart chamber, and that chamber has 135 HP compared to Horizon's 175 HP black hole. The effect does not require line of sight, so it's a good idea to deploy the heart chamber behind some cover so it doesn't get destroyed so easily, or maybe even putting it on top of buildings. Two fantastic uses for Exhibit are in the final circle, forcing teams to play slow or to be revealed, and just as you're about to third party to teams that are fighting each other. It's also incredibly useful to throw down the ultimate as a defensive mechanism to slow a push or to see exactly where an enemy is pushing. Here my teammate takes huge damage and I immediately throw down the Exhibit ultimate to see exactly what direction the enemies are pushing from. I quickly notice that one enemy is separating from his teammate, so I can isolate a 1v1 in order to gain the upper hand in the fight. Revealed enemies are also shown on the minimap as red arrows, and the reach of the sphere itself is also shown on the minimap. While Exhibit is active, you'll see enemies detected, indicating how many enemies are currently being detected within your sphere. Now don't just assume that once your ult is placed you can see everyone nearby. Many enemies will turn stealthy inside the Exhibit, crouch walking or hiding around corners waiting to try to pounce on you. Now there's two different ways to try to utilize Seer's ultimate ability. Now arguably Seer's ultimate ability works best after a fight has already begun, allowing your team to easily finish an enemy squad or shift the tide of the engagement in your favor. Use it to gain information on opponents or to deny space, and you can use the ability to look for isolated enemies, secure unexpected angles. If the situation isn't going well, don't be afraid to leave your ultimate area. Of course, it's also possible to place Seer's ultimate at the start of a firefight. This is useful too. It allows you to remain one step ahead of an unsuspected team and any third parties who might come along your way. Used this way, Exhibit combines well with Seer's tactical, taking the guesswork out of aiming that tactical ability, even though the range on Seer's ultimate is quite large. You can use this on a team that's already turtled up and taken an entrenched defensive position in a multi-story building, and just be aware that this lasts for 30 seconds as an ultimate ability. Now one thing you need to keep in mind in the back of your head is Exhibit is also highly visible to other enemies on the map. The sphere of drones can be seen from very far away, and Seers typically only use it when they are fighting, so you're basically signaling to the entire lobby that there's going to be some weak enemies in that area. Now lastly, Seer is a great legend to pair with any legend in the game, since he can provide intel to offensive or defensive legends to help prepare for combat or rotation. But you can also pair Seer with Bangalore or even Caustic, because he can see enemies with his ultimate ability through both smoke or gas. So there it is guys, my ultimate guide to playing Seer. If he gets any changes in upcoming seasons, check back in the pinned comments for updates. If you need any help with any other legends or tips with ranked or improvement, then sub to the channel. Make sure to drop a like on this video, and thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. I'm Grizzy and I'm out. Peace.